So, Steve, granted that fat cats or corporations shouldn't hand out billions for trillions in quid pro quos, but what's wrong with 1 million little folks giving $100 apiece? We're not demanding or bribing for anything. Oh, yes, you are. When you give your daughter's piggy bank to your favorite candidate, you help him or her to buy a bit more TV propaganda than the less gifted challenger can afford. Then some of those voters supporting the opponent with equal passion but hopefully less gift dough will lose the TV time tussle and peel off fewer of your guys' poll numbers and voters than you helped twist away from theirs. So with no better lies, just more airtime to hammer 'em, your money buys your man the squeaker. While democracy's campaign principle, same as parliamentary debate, is equal time, our oligarchy's pay-to-play conspiracy is unequal time. So unless you can manage to keep forgetting our ever-mounting physical, spiritual, and economic havoc those powers wreak, you'd better publicly campaign for public campaign finance, court-ordered and legislature appropriated to the reducing number of stronger candidates for the same hours of public airtime as the election approaches, including internet videos. You do recall news programs regularly reporting that most elections are won by those who scarfed the most private money for that critical TV time plurality, right? Yes, candidate virtues, or even war fever vices, and voter passions and majorities often jack donations. But just as often, extra well-heeled minority, commercial, public parasite interests twist polls with propaganda pluralities to steal elections by the thousands. How else could nearly 90% of people hate Congress, but then re-elect their own incumbent dirtball with over 95% of the time, except after caving to the office holder's 9-to-1 TV brainwashing and plurality ad plurality bought with corporate bribes to let them rob your store? Democracy, we ain't, by definition, is not for sale. Oligarchy, undue power of the rich or even upper middle class, is bought. General public rights cannot be only available for a price because the poor always get robbed. Alternatively, Robin Hood would have also made an unjust political leader. Although you must admit that robbing the rich to pay the poor stinks less than our outrage of robbing the middle class to fatten the rich. I'm referring to our electioneering and budget bribery system, not the various more compassionate but debatable downward wealth redistribution programs. But please never forget my most urgent report that our bribery system delivers everybody's trillions to favored contractors and delivers us to depression and doomsday. To review his story, most inequality is armed robbery. So have I persuaded you that it's finally time to actively obey our founders' entire public ethic and command, written in the courage and blood of those who liberated us from that autocratic alien, oppressor, tyrant, and bully, George III, and his lordly, superior, inhumane, inhuman British Empire? Those founders wrote that you're always in danger of forgetting this. Don't favor anybody. Don't stomp nobody. Equal is everybody. So restore Republican, Democratic, fully representative, governed America. So do not buy another person's vote with propaganda they cannot afford to counter. This unfairly strengthens and multiplies your vote as it weakens and subtracts from theirs. When money talks, bullshit doesn't walk. It actually wins. My speeches are bombastic talk only. I ain't done shit, if you'll pardon my French. I've got a lot of gall to ask you to practice what I merely preach. Pursue reform activism. For example, written appeals to people in power. Mere minutes a day, but with energy and motivation to exceed the commercial, military, government pros. You have right and love and humanity all on your side. If you're diplomatic and persuasive, you may gently but legally pry their grip away from greed and power's influence to stimulate their deeper family love and human patriotism. Remember that hundreds of millions work full-time for war. We billions quietly cooperate and pay. Millions wish and pray for peace without working for it. But now, finally, you and I are deciding to build survival and love brick by brick. Yes, peace and justice begin with love and progress with determined, sustained communication and advocacy. But then, far beyond my rudimentary speculations, we must continue quality research, learning about his story's architecture of paranoia, money, and technology, about his deliberate, ingenious, laissez-faire, means to leave alone, unsupervised, lack of law to make family values public. Cleverly hidden by every politician liar's TV ads trumpeting his or her family values. I spent 50 years studying the supposed mysteries and intricacies of war, but seldom realized that every line of every book proved that all too legal and profitable national mass killing is the primary precise end of governments, demanding and receiving obedient allowance of all too legal and profitable mass destructive weaponry and giant invasion armies. Leaders demand murder, so we buy and commit it. A few of us start to say no, but assume we can't stop it, so don't bother to figure out how. Will you help me with my plan by improving and acting on it? Now, the weaponeers love to tell you, don't even think of lifting a finger to stop us, because even if you succeed, just think of the horrific toll sure to explode from all those hammers, kitchen knives, clubs, and fists. And we're so stupid, we just blink and stare, 'cause we're only 99% sure they're deliberately, cynically lying. Check your history. Every time murder technology multiplies 10 or 10,000-fold, war deaths skyrocket to the exact same exponent. Last time I checked, TNT can kill thousands in a day, but uranium on missiles is poised to take out billions in that same day. Bullets and bombs kill 1 million plus a year and maim 5 million. With the single exception of machetes in Rwanda, deliberately manufactured for the Holocaust, muscular, brutal, skillful knife and club killings could never rise beyond a few % of that total. The last century's gigantic slaughters were almost entirely facilitated by finger-crooking 200 bullet-a-minute machine guns and lever-firing TNT flying bombs. And the world is about to end by pressing tiny little buttons. All a soldier needs is machines, orders, and fingers. City killing on automatic. Review my humane legal program that physically removes 99.9999999999999% of that evil machinery and 100% of the wicked orders. Then, what does he do with that hammer? Mash his thumb in his wood shop, if you ask me. Drive it into his friend's brain, if you ask the NRA and the corrupted arsenal-building bullshitters. And why do they lie? 'Cause there's bucks to be made, and power to be gloried in, and enemies, strange inhuman monsters to kill, and opponents to discourage by brutalizing their innocent families. A leader's duty and care for the well-being and future of his citizens, or equivalent interest in the benefit of good people the world over, ceases to matter or even exist when he needs his drugs of riches, power, hatred, and pleasure. A true invasion military and conventional weapons of mass destruction treaty would control and drastically shrink every government, military, and industrial department of missiles, planes, bombs, and heavy-fire guns designed for the 10 civilian to 1 soldier death toll of modern wars, each monstrosity having nothing to contribute to and everything to wreck of actual military and population defense. This conventional treaty companion and inducement to proper enforcement of the nuclear non-proliferation treaty must spell out national bribery elimination and progressive slashes with elimination of invariably commercial supply to buyers, domestic, foreign, or private, of every aggressive assault weapon beyond mutual border defenses, including a ban of conquest size and invasion transport capacity of armies themselves. 100 years of international peace theory has focused on versions of world governments, of wise, benevolent dictatorship, presumably handpicked by the eggheads, crushing that evil national sovereignty with 100 times more irresistible central world sovereignty, exercising massive economic and monstrous weapons monopolies over helpless former nations. Problem was, the freshman geeks kept asking, can you describe any scenario in which even one of the 200 nations gives up any of their independence to Big Earth Brother? And if you can, what keeps world dictatorial power from quickly achieving absolute corruption and tyranny any next aberrant despot would use to plunge us all to hell? This dried up the goofy professors into silence 30 years ago. But renewed common sense hasn't exactly been on the march since then. My proposals are far from easy, and without you, impossible. But they do rely on step-by-step cause and effect, feature increasing citizen power and choice, with national good behavior both coerced and volunteered, with everybody's sovereignty and security climbing a happy, rewarding ladder. Recall my plan that increasing masses of smaller nations can progressively embargo the corrupt, depressed, big boy holdouts, motivating bad leader replacement. Good laws already sweeping the globe, and both weapons of mass destruction and conventional world treaty completions. Adjust folks' incentives and deny them evil opportunities, and they will choose to love, enjoy it, and do a wonderful job. Turns out Mom and Dad knew how to save the world all along, huh? So, Steve, who needs your amateur treaty of love with our thousands of professionals already leading a grateful planet to decades of arms control? Because every one of those pros is paid to juggle all those bombs toward profits and victory, keeping the guts of any they pretend to destroy, simulating tiny restraint with clever PR while quietly agreeing with symbiotic enemies to race ahead with the deadliest new systems. Their bottom line, besides profits, of course, is to fake you out of leading and enforcing real world disarmament that would fire their filthy rich, world citizen sabotaging, bomb stacking butts. Sue for your designed peace. They will never volunteer or negotiate it. But such action would be hopelessly lengthy, you say, against such endless, powerful resistance. So let's just give up now and never even start to try. I've heard this defeatism from every well-meaning but dead-acting person I've ever campaigned with for a public structure of sanity and decency. From the same ones who spend 75 years building on their parents' love and purpose, justice and morality, endlessly battling every day, all day, to overcome 1,000 formidable obstacles to fulfillment of all their family who desperately need all their help, care, and love. For all his story, warmongers also used white-hot mind, muscle, purpose, and strategy. But peace pacifists, almost never activists, do not deign to dirty their hands, even trying to break evil power by building an even greater range of legal coercion. Let's attack the system builders of greed and hate for all we're worth, but reserve a little anger for all the bright, educated, and able who evidence casual concern but terminal complacency in the face of humanity's ultimate crisis. Pretty please, do the right thing. No. Well, as Lily Tomlin's Edith Ann would say, never mind. You will always pursue your ever-changing, desperately thoughtful, and innovative private strategy of family rescue with 110% love and effort until all possible, eventual, merciful success. So why can you not give 1,000th of that permanent effort to restrain a world about to destroy you all? At least making possible our slow but steady march from hell to heaven on earth. But must we bite and chew all that work for our beautiful new human world at once? All at once? Course not. Start a thought today and a contact tomorrow, and some days adding one or two more ideas and small actions out into a world that will not remain indifferent and unreactive to your persistence and slow organization with others. Obama, yo mama! Yes, we can. History's savage, greedy lie pounded into you every second of your superpower arms race indoctrinated lives is peace is kept with lots of terrible weapons, giant invasion armies, and constant preventative wars. But weapons reductions, forbearance, and actual mutual disarmament each will lead to war. Now, real history our small children learn proves that every single giant army and arsenal ever built was launched into great, big, bloody, attacking wars. Our 2 million-year prehistory of peace with only necessary hunting weapons, followed by that 10 millennia fountain of human blood, to precisely accompany booming army and weapons trades proves that peace is minimal killing tools and war is the army and weapons industries led by their captured governments. Our treaty against nukes must be accompanied by another agreement to cut towards elimination every kind of weapon and excess men under arms supporting foreign invasions, invariably targeting civilians. For example, America supplied Israel's bombs and planes, killing thousands in Gaza, and several Mideast and Asian nations smuggle in rockets Hamas fires into Israeli towns and villages. My last speech comments on our Iraqi Shiite puppet battering Sunnis with American bombs until half of Iraq falls into the arms of radical ISIS, savaging far and wide with captured American weapons. Now we plan a 10-year, 11-nation campaign to blast ISIS, multiplied to 30,000, into the Stone Age in revenge for decapitating a few Westerners. This is the necessary war on terrorism, the world weapons business lies, knowing that it will multiply terrorism 1,000-fold into the civilian, business, and government capitals of the West. But hey, we've got a few years left to rake in a few more $1 trillion, so what's the problem? War is a filthy business that our own hearts, minds, and constitutions all demand, if we would only wake up and realize it, that we simply, but with accurate, targeted force, make illegal and stop. Not by begging restraint from the still bribed, enriched, and overarmed, but by legally and physically taking away their trillions of dirty bucks and megatons of mass destruction. So even if they kept trying to buy and wreak death, they could not. Follow the causes and effects and replace the causes. Puts us adults back in charge of the crazy acting kids. Gets the silly biters back on track. They still run and play, but without the scissors. Narcotics cartels and militias the world over are fueled by the unrestrained assault weapons business. Cut that enough by law, and most war rolls down to a stop, like a car run out of gasoline. The weapons trade causing the slaughter of tens of millions during your little lifetime is your real current history lesson, not the self-serving stories from our court jesters and financiers of the apocalypse. Even the 1 million Rwandans hacked hacked up by machetes in 100 days would have mostly lived if not for the freedom and funds to grossly escalate machete production during hatred's concurrent buildup. With an anti-hacking murder weapon law of peace and love in place, the bad boys would be left to whine that many were now forced to shove aside the ferns across their jungle trails with their helpless little hands. Do folks hate and kill each other in and around your nation due to religious or ethnic animosity? Into our treaty's national reforms must be a simple class, perhaps an hour a week in all public schools, parent participation mandatory. We'll all learn that no Koran or Bible, Shiite or Sunni, Hutu or Tutsi, black, brown, red, green, yellow, or white human can tell you that one faith, color, or nationality is virtuous and superior and the other's evil and inferior, or that the one some bigots despise needs converting, degrading, or killing. And while we keep learning and practicing simple human respect forever, the machine gun store is closed, baby! Every assault weapon maker selling the mass slaughter of invasion attacks could easily trace, as could any cop with a subpoena, the majority of their sales to wars of aggression, theft, racism, or narco-terrorism. Enough research should convince federal judges, in view and in lieu of intractable legislative corrupt service of the murder industry's freedom, to sell war supply, destroying citizens' rights to common defense, general welfare, and pursuit of liberty, happiness, and life, that they must step in to augment and enforce shrinking maximum weapons production quotas, also addressed in an international conventional weapon reduction treaty. No constitution encouraging defensive, protective militia or individual self-defense makes this vast majority of the world's butchery with such grossly excessive marketed mass of murder machines a legal right? So then, replies the NRA, show us the law that slashes any production or ownership of these mass killers. Our answer, we can't. Good point. And this world dies for lack of that law. So we are going to press for vast legal reductions of the world's billions of assault. All guns are. Weapons intending and achieving gigantic slaughter, only less than every atomic and hydrogen bomb exploding all at once. So you may head back to the front and firing line for now. But you might want to pencil in a couple of ceasefires, because we'll be seeing ya in court. While soldiers, many, but certainly not all unaffected by our true defense and peace needs, grease their 8 bullets a second murder weapons, the death merchants grease politicians' palms. Your new law of love slashes small arms killing machines consistent with proven defense needs of people who are also demonstrating steady effort to find peaceful alternatives to war. Don't worry, we'll still waste another 10 million with the leftovers. Can't have y'all going cold turkey. In case you ain't figured this out yet, listen up. Most war and most murder go away without enough weapons. Peace isn't a moral vision well-armed warriors will convert to when asked pretty please. Peace is hard law against savagery's supply that hamstrings even the double Y male chromosome aberrants who crowd our prisons, up to 50%, volunteer armies, and very likely congressional halls. Billions work for the mega monolith of war, including you, until you tell your congressman, senator, and president to cut war taxes down to a 10 to 15% defense focus, or you'll vote him or her out. Politicians know that each letter projects the opinions of many, many voters. Let's scam them and write 5 letters apiece. Hundreds of millions in government and the war industry work for the same monster by skillful, professional diversion of your taxes to the violence commerce, for the actual unnecessary killing, and through bribery all the way to retirement bundles, raking off the top into the politicians' pockets. A handful structure even minutes a day to oppose this subhuman evil projected to kill us all. Tragic neglect, then, from us billions who work for the health, happiness, and yes, safety of our own families. Double full-time, 100 times in love and in loving action. Some weirdo would-be leader, such as I, is a helpless nothing. You must act, as every you seldom has. Your small pieces of research and activism, deeply influencing your mind, heart, and initiative, as well as ours to continue, has always grown into successful movements for public improvements of useful knowledge, mercy, law, and love, finally leading lost leaders home again with new laws above those who fancied and designed themselves as rulers gaining advantage. True reform requires ironclad legal direction to teach leaders to be helpers of us, not them, in a government of laws, not men.